Everywhere I go, the children rise. Everywhere I go, the children rise. I saw them just rise up, the wicked road. I saw them just rise up, the wicked road. Equal rights and justice, when I defend, we won't run away. Run away, run away, run away, run away. We won't run away. Run away, run away, run away, run away. If you go in America, if you go in Canada, if you go in Africa, I saw them just rise up the wicked road. I saw them just rise up the wicked road. I saw them just rise up the wicked road. We won't run away. Run away, run away, run away, run away. We won't run away. Run away, run away, run away, run away. Again, rolling to the people, yeah. The fire burn them wicked, wicked people. The fire burn them wicked, wicked men. The fire burn them wicked, wicked friend. Fire burn on the wicked, burn on all of them. The fire burn them wicked, wicked country. The fire burn the wicked, wicked town. The fire burn them wicked, wicked city. Fire burn on the wicked, burn them. When it's impossible to see what's become of our people in their life, we do with so much evil. A weevil wobble, a triple tongue and travel them. Sell them soldiers to work for the devil. The judges say judgment may soon come when the wall of ours on the once again can tumble down. Beautiful Nash, people them I won't with judge you for all this rocks with fire and brimstone. The fire burn them wicked, wicked people. Then the fire burn the wicked, wicked men. The fire burn them wicked, wicked friend. Fire burn down the wicked, burn down all of them. They say the fire burn the wicked, wicked country. The fire burn the wicked, wicked town. The fire burn them wicked, wicked city. Fire burn down the wicked, burn down Babylon. You know the people them must suffer and the world and eat and bleed while you spread your lies and propaganda, sow your bloody seed. The children working, the fingers to the bone, while you pay all the money to some pretty face without a clothes. And your time will come, it will come. Just say when you beg the hills for cover, but the hills will run away. When we listen, when we love, it been too late to have forgiveness when you will begin to burn. The fire burn them wicked, wicked people. The fire burn the wicked, wicked men. The fire burn them wicked, wicked friend. Fire burn down the wicked, burn down all of them. And the arrow pressing, we shall overcome, but certain nations ought instead. And give a little and even shed it, yes. Easy selling our daughters for some butter or the bread. And the fathers giving their lives up to son, doing battle for the devil, warring for the wicked one. And you might think this is just another song, but the blood you spill keep calling out along, a long way. Yeah. The fire burn them wicked, wicked people. The fire burn the wicked, wicked men. The fire burn them wicked, wicked friend. Fire burn down the wicked, burn down all of them. They say fire burn them wicked, wicked people. The
United States of America, otherwise known as the land of the free. But generations of Black Americans experienced a very different nation. 400 years ago, the White Lion docked here at Point Comfort in Virginia, then a British colony. It was carrying 20 African slaves.
So-called blacks have been afflicted in America for over 400 years.
You've probably heard a lot about systemic discrimination in America. It's the idea that if you're not white, the deck is somehow stacked against you. And that is true. Government studies and academic research show over and over again that to be Black in America is to face bias.
Rivers and lakes are turning blood red or drying up.
The city of Cocoa Beach is dealing with its canals turning red.
A pool of water located close to the Dead Sea in the biblical region of Moab, modern-day Jordan, has mysteriously turned blood red.
On Tuesday, a river in China turned blood red overnight.
Drone footage of a lake dramatically turning red in Siberia has sparked a social media frenzy online and even prompted biblical warning. Lagoon becomes blood red in Mexico.
Record-breaking summer temperatures and multiple heat waves have left Europe's essential waterways drained.
Pandemics, pestilence, and dangerous weather patterns threaten the lives of billions around the world.
Nearly 15 million people around the world have died from the impact of COVID, directly or indirectly, during the first 2 years of the pandemic.
Searing, unrelenting heat, ravaging Europe's land and overpowering its people.
After quickly igniting into the state's largest and deadliest inferno this season, California's McKinney Fire is still a blowtorch.
1,000 dead in extreme heat, 16,000 displaced by an outbreak of wildfires. It's hell on earth for some residents of Western Europe, where a historic heat wave is raging.
It's raining mice in Australia, literally, and I'm not making this up or reading it out from a Murakami. Millions of mice have infested Australia.
And now, war looms.
Elon Musk shocks everyone by saying that the Third World War may begin. Elon Musk's threatening warning that the Third World War awaits US in September.
We are the children of Israel. This is a warning to the powers that be.
Let us go.
Let us go.
Let us go.
Let us go.
Shalom and blessings to all of my brothers and sisters, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertain the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of Elohim and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, our Mashiach came, who is over all, Elohim blessed forever and ever. All praises, honor, and glory to the one and only divine Elohim of our forefathers, from Adam to the great patriarchs, to the prophets, who the scriptures declares holy men, to the apostles, and to the scattered abroad today, including us. Shalom and blessings to everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. And I want to welcome you to this fellowship. We're going to be dealing with the topic of thy lovers have forgotten thee, or thy lovers have forsaken thee. Pretty much clarifying what we already know, but in case somebody's new and listening in and may not understand and may have some questions, we're going to be covering some things tonight, dealing with race relations, quote unquote. That's a good way of putting it. Race relations. How do so-called Negroes fare in relation to other races of people? How do other races of people really view us as opposed to how we view them? What is our perspective on society as opposed to theirs? We're going to share some of that tonight and hopefully bring some light to the situation dealing with racism and race relations. I got my brothers with me tonight, Brother Bunyar, Brother Cleo, not Brother Cleo, Brother Bunyar, Brother Yash, Brother Hal, and Brother Kadar. What's going on, brothers? Y'all can greet the family.
Shalom and blessings, brothers on the panel. Shalom and blessings to all our family out there. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High, Elohim, and His Son, whom He sent to be the propitiation for our sins. And I just want to say, glad to be here, brothers. Shalom and blessings.
Just want to say all praises, glory, and honor to the Most High Yah. Good to see all you brothers and sisters in the chat. And as always, all my brothers on the panel, good to see you all.
Shalom and blessings to each and every one of y'all in here, salt of the earth. Give honor to the Most High Yah, to the Messiah, and to all the Israelites scattered abroad. To everybody in the chat, I'm ready to get it in. It's very important. I believe brother Eric, brother Banyar, which one of y'all I believe y'all prophets, because I went through this actually the other day at work. What y'all talking about?
Gonna have to hear some of that.
Yeah. Shalom, family. Shalom to everyone in the chat. Shalom, Jacob Israel. You know what? How about you just put them up and I just give the introductions?
Okay, you want to do the chat tonight?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I got you. First, let me say shalom to the brother Elisha. I tried to reach out to you, brother Bunyar, to get his email, and to the brother Cleo as well. Shout out to them brothers. Hope they're doing well. They may or may not chime in depending on what they got going on, but we're gonna start with the chat. Go ahead, brother Yash.
Okay, I'm speaking without this mic on. We got Jason JPM in the house. Jason Philip McCauley. Shalom to you. Sister CC, always blessed to see you in the house. Shalom. Jacob Israel. Shalom, my brother. DBY, Donovan Ben Yehuda. All praises. Sister Joy 31608. As always, glad to see you in here. Actual Israel. Shalom. B1 Queensland is in the house. Shalom to you. Sharon O. Peace and blessings unto you, my sister. JC, Jason Camphor in the house. Shalom, my brother. Mr. The Original School. Greetings to you. Shibria, my sister in the faith, doing a lot of things. Teaching the ladies virtue in the house of the Most High. Glad to have you in here, as always. Joe Scott, shalom to you, my brother. Sheila Alisaya, I think. If I messed up your name, I'm sorry, but peace to you, my sister.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hold on a second, my brother. Shalom to you, Michelle Y in the house. Yas. Shalom to you, my sister. Observant Deprogram. All praises to the Most High, my sister. Keep up the good work. Michael Yashara. All praises to the Most High for you, my brother. Peace and blessings. Yekamiah. Shalom to you, Sean. Always glad to see you in here, encouraging us to keep the law, statute, and commandments and to serve the Most High. Sister Patricia Thomas is in the house tonight. Shalom to you. Leanne King. Shalom.
We already do Jacob Israel.
Yeah, we did Jacob. Jacob Deeper here tonight. E.T. Eric Tinsley in the house. Shalom, my brother.
Let's see who else we got. Let me check.
Yah's son. Shalom to you, my brother. Ty C, all the way from the Philippines. Hope you're doing well, my brother. Shalom to you.
Did you already do Patricia Thomas?
Yeah, I did, Sister Patricia.
Okay. Shalom again. Oh, something happened to him. Well, I'm going to go ahead and keep it going until he come back. Watch and discern. Shalom and blessings to you. Let me see. Who else we got?
Sorry, I chimed out by mistake.
It's cool.
Who the last one? Oh, Ecobella. Shalom to you.
Who else? Told you one day this list gonna get thick, too thick.
Yeah, it's getting thick. Always glad to see you. Peace and blessings unto you. Unorthodox daughter of Zion. Shalom to you, my sis. Albany, Georgia in the house. Shalom to you. Christopher Jackson. One love back to you, my brother. Dawn, all is vanity. We are truly living in the matrix. Shalom to you, my sister. Dub Cooter. Hey, Peepsy, back to you, my brother. If you are. Yas, 83. Shalom to you, my family.
Did you do Brother Darnell Blackshear?
Nah, I didn't hit Brother Darnell. DB in the house. Shalom to you, brother. You always first, man. But if you last, you're certainly not least. Shalom, my brother.
Yeah, Brother Darnell done snuck in the end there. Let me go ahead and open up with this passage. We in Psalms chapter 2 tonight. Before we get everybody warmed up. What's going on, Brother Elisha? Shalom to you.
Shalom, bro. Shalom to all the brothers.
Let me get this passage in real quick, and then we're gonna get into it. It says, "Why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahuwah and against his Mashiach, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. Adonai shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. Yahuwah have said unto me, thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. You notice I got this verse right here boxed out, circled, because if you read it, it kind of rhymes a little bit. You know, it says, I will declare the decree. Yahuwah have said unto me, thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. It's a lot of verses in the scripture that read like this. You know, if you skim through it and read through it, a lot of rhymes, but it says, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, and shall dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Most High Yahuwah with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. Another prophetic chapter in Psalms dealing with the Most High and his people, letting us know that he's going to give the heathen for our inheritance. All this is prophetic. And so the very people that you see a lot of our people try to be in league with, try to establish themselves with, try to be equal with, the Most High said that he's going to give them for an inheritance. And so if he's telling us that in the scripture, and he's telling us that we're in the land of our enemies, the lands of the heathens, what would that reflect in terms of how they view us in reality, as opposed to how we think things are and how they view us? Anybody can jump in on that if you got anything to add.
I was looking at that one part when it said that he would give the uttermost parts of the earth for our possession. Right there, it shows that the Israelite rule would not be just confined to just Jerusalem. You know, the Most High gave the whole earth for us to rule. You know, and that goes and lines up with I believe 2nd Esdras when it says, "If the world be given now for our sake, why do we not now possess the inheritance of the world?" You know, so you know we said that before within the 2nd Exodus videos that the Most High gave this earth for Israel to rule. You know, in Jerusalem be the central ruling place, but I think everybody needs to understand that when we start talking about what land belongs to us and what this part or whatever that belongs to us, scripture, according to scripture, it all belongs to us. You know.
Yep, it said it a couple of times in that Esdras 2, letting us know that he created the earth for our sakes, for Israel's sake. And it's in Deuteronomy 32, it lets you know how he established the earth and for who he established the earth. But anybody else can jump in on that.
Yes, that right there that's something. You know how we as a people scattered abroad probably and we've been in every land somewhat, then turn around and be ruling the whole earth. Man, that's an inheritance and a blessing that's coming towards us. And when you talk to certain people that our people, I say, that's in these Christianity, and you bring out these scriptures and stuff to them, the first thing they'll tell you is, "I just don't believe it." So they become not not believing what the scriptures say, or they'll say it's got to be another meaning behind it, you know. But these scriptures right here is coming from the word. Of course, if they read the Apocrypha, they ain't gonna even believe that. But even in the 66, it tells us, you know, that we gonna basically have the whole world, the whole earth.
Anybody else? Brother Najee, I messed that up in the beginning. I'm gonna have to get that right. But
yeah, nah, you good, bro. No worries, man. No, I got nothing to add to that. Brother Kadar and Brother Bonnie pretty much covered it.
Okay. Brother Yash, Brother Lasha.
I don't have anything to add to the understanding that was put forth. I mean, that's sufficient to me.
All right, we're gonna Brother Yash. I didn't know if he had anything.
You down here? No, I don't have nothing right now.
Moving forward, I want us to kind of be in the mindset of where most of our people are in terms of, like I said, race relations. That's what we're gonna call it. But Brother Kadar just spoke on an example he had this week dealing with that. I've had a few encounters over the past few weeks dealing with that. And so my main concern is the mindset of our people in light of, what we see going on. I'm going to take a break, man. When we come back, we're going to get into it, dealing with race relations. We're going to get into some footage tonight. And that's going to kind of lead us and take us where we need to go. But it's break time. Shalom. I'll be right back. Fair Use Act disclaimer. This site is for educational purposes only. Fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Shout out to Mo City Bo for that track. If anybody got music or anybody you want to share with anything, rather you want to share with the family, send it to us via email. The emails will be scrolling throughout the live periodically. So, Brother Yash, you say you trying to get somebody in on the 400 years, huh?
Oh, yeah. I'm talking to my brother Raphael. Me and him, we was in church together, and he, we did ministry together. And right now I'm just explaining a little things to him. I don't know how far along he is, but this brother is a strong brother in the Most High. And so I just was catching up. Just give me a second, my brother.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm trying to do some of that myself with a couple of people, but I want to share this video real quick because one of the things that happened to me when I first came into the knowledge, when the Most High opened up my understanding, is I asked myself a question. I asked myself, or I asked the Most High rather, why is it that everywhere that I go and everywhere that I've been, the people who look like me are on the bottom? This was at a time when, I was just in the workforce by myself, going to work, doing my thing. And it just dawned on me one day, and I asked that question. It was a few things that led to me asking that question, but that's the ultimate question I asked myself. And when you ask those kind of questions in sincerity, the Most High hear those things, and he'll lead you to some understanding. That's what happened to me. And I'm sure a lot of other brothers and sisters have that same testimony and experience. But I want to share this video in light of that particular question that I asked myself. And I want y'all to give me your thoughts on this. Check this out.
And being lynched by the KKK, what exactly did Black people ever do?
Like, I'm genuinely asking, what did we ever do to deserve anti-Blackness in every single community? We were brought over here in chains. We were beat, raped, and murdered. We fought for our freedom just to end up with Jim Crow and segregation and being lynched by the KKK. We were segregated into our own communities, then denied jobs, denied funding for our schools. You kill our Black men, then make fun of us for not having fathers. You dehumanize and demonize and kill our Black women, and nobody bats an eye. What exactly did Black people do? What exactly did we do? What exactly?
Were you brothers able to catch all of that?
Yeah, we're able to hear.
I like to answer the questions like that with the scripture, but I'm gonna go down the line and let you brothers just kind of give your thoughts on that. When you hear those kind of things coming from our people, what are your thoughts on that?
Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 12. For thus saith the Most High, that bruise is incurable, and that wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not. But I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thy iniquities, because thy sins were increased. Why criest thou for thy afflictions? Thy sorrow is incurable, for the multitude of thy iniquity, because thy sins were increased. I have done these things unto thee.
So, if you were to simplify that, what would you tell her? Because a lot of people, when you try to explain that to them, it goes over a lot of our people's heads, because a lot of our people's concepts of God is different.
I would say before we was black, we was the children of the Most High. And because we turned from him, he turned from us and delivered us into the hands of a people that hate us.
I would be convinced if I was really sincere. I was looking at a video where a brother was trying to explain that, to another brother, and he was practically rejecting it. And he started bringing the Quran and all these other things into it. But anybody else?
Yeah, I would say Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So, yes, when I run against people and they ask these questions like that, first of all, I basically tell them who we are, and I can prove it with scripture, prophecy, and history. And then it answers a lot of questions of what's going on with us and why we in the shape we in today. But, some of our people receive it and some of them don't.
You know what I think a lot of us right here on the panel have in common is before we heard the explanation, we was probably already asking the question. So I think when someone's in that state right there is a perfect opportunity. A lot of people just going about their lives and they think everything is normal and they ain't asking these type of questions. You can tell them that, like, look, brother, do you know why we doing? Do you know about this or that is happening? And it's gonna bounce right off of them. But for that sister, the perfect opportunity for you to witness to her about who she is right then when she was asking those questions, because that's the state that I was in. I don't know everybody's state, but I was in the state of like, man, why is this happening like this? Like, why are people always at the bottom? Why, what do we do for this to happen? Why are we so hated? I grew up with my grandma. I love my grandmother. I love my mom. I love my family. What did they do to deserve such hatred? And you look at the conditions that we live in our neighborhoods and how our schools, and then you go to another place and you be like, man, how are they living like that and we living like this? Like, that don't make no sense. I know we not stupid. So what is going on here? Right? So, you got to be at a state where you really want to know. And you got to be at a state where you can be convinced. And it's not going to be against your will, because you try to tell people stuff against their will, they just going, even if you correct in all your information, they still just going to deny.
Yeah. I think one part in that Jeremiah 30, in line of what we talking about tonight. Let me turn to it, and I'm gonna just read it. in verse 14, it says, all thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not. For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one. For the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. So, in light of the question, what have we done to deserve the different things that happened to our people throughout our tenure here, the 400 years we've been here, from being physically afflicted through chattel slavery and other means, to now being systematically afflicted through multiple means. And these very people who benefit from these things are the people that we hold in high regard. And these are the people that tell us to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. But when it comes time for us to receive certain things, these are the same very people that stand up against us, that protest against us. Nobody ever considers what the Most High is letting us know throughout the word, that the wages of the laborers cry out. And just like other nations and other groups have been reparated, the Most High is not even calling for us to be reparated. He's calling for us to be released. But at the least, you should pay those who do service for you. You shouldn't hold back their wages. And that's a lot of why we see happening what's happening with our people. But anybody else? I'm trying to look for the video.
Let me make this one comment. Really, if you look at what the sister is asking, is why is it that they're doing these things to us? And if you go into Ezekiel and it talks about their perpetual hatred against us, the whole Bible, all of the scriptures, all the prophets is really about Jacob and Esau. And the Most High said, Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated. And if the Most High didn't allow Jake to usurp Esau, then it would be us on top of them right now and them waiting for the promise. So for the Most High to set his love upon us, it was a necessity that all the world would hate us. The whole Bible is about Jacob and Esau. That's why it says inside the book of Hebrews, through faith, the Most High, Jacob was told about the things that come in the last days regarding himself and Esau. That's what the whole Bible is about the promise that was going to go to Esau. And that's why he hates us so much, is because he lost the promise and we received it. And that the Most High set his love on us because of that. And the whole manuscript is just that history from beginning to end to the time that the Most High sits us in our rightful position. And that's something that our people need to really look at and say, would we want to be Esau ruling the earth right now, and Esau's time coming to be the kingdom that will last forever? Or would we want to take what we're taking right now so that we can be the ones who get the kingdom to come? Because that's really all it's about. In the end, that's what the whole book is about.
That's an awesome input too with the question. What would you rather have? I've asked a lot of people, would you rather stay here or would you rather go to another country, Africa maybe, where we can have our own land and start from scratch and build? And you'd be surprised at a lot of our people who reject that notion, but that's an awesome input. you know, in terms of letting somebody know what the book is all about, to sum it up, you know, because that's true. And even when you go back to the covenant, the Most High is constantly telling Israel, if they keep the covenant, what effect that would have on the other nations toward Israel, you know. And so a lot of that could be taken into consideration when you look at how the nations view us now.
If you remember, I don't know if brothers remember or not, I think it's probably be a good thing for some of the listeners to probably hear it, you know, and get you brothers' perspective on it, is that when you look in the book of 2nd Ezra, I believe the 7th chapter, when Ezra is mourning about our current condition, and he's like, if the world is given for our sake, why are we at the bottom? And the messenger says to him, the angel says to him, why does thou not think about what is to be, what is to come? Why does thou think about what is and not what is to come, seeing as thou art nothing but a corruptible man? And the whole thing that he says to him is that Ezra is feeling exactly how that sister is. Why is this? Why is that? Why are we at the bottom? All these things are supposed to be for us, you know, but in the end, the Most High said, Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning that followeth. And the promise that was given by the Most High is that we would win. Like, no matter what is happening to us right now, no matter how far we fall, it's already signed, sealed, and delivered that we would win, that we would be put in a lofty place. No matter how many times we've been murdered, it's already sketched in stone with the hand of the Most High that no matter what, we don't lose. But all we feel is now. And even then, we're not just to question what we're feeling, because we actually deserve it according to our actions. What has happened, even more so. But just going back to what Ezra was feeling, he's feeling like a lot of us feel. How my mother said to me recently, well, why is it taking so long? You know, and the bottom line is that, yo, you know, why are we thinking about what is and not what's to come?
You know, that's another thing too. That's more confirmation, because in all essence, when I asked the Most High that question, that's what he basically showed me, that this is the position we're in because we deserve it. And so it was kind of a test of the heart, you know. And this is where a lot of our people fall off when they hear this information, that the Most High brought these things on us because of the disobedience of our forefathers and our disobedience today. You know, they don't believe that the Most High would do these types of things, but I see it as a test of the heart, you know, the test of sincerity and accountability, you know. But anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, is you said a test of the heart and a test of accountability. I think that is so true. Like scriptures, Jeremiah 30, Deuteronomy 28, Brother Elisha just talked about Ezekiel. You know, all those scriptures are great and very good points. I'd also like to add that I think things that Paul writes about love and the descriptions of love, and one of the virtues of love being patience, I think us knowing who we are and people asking these questions, we really have to practice that virtue with these people. And that is the virtue of patience. Because sometimes I know myself, I can just be like, you know, I can hear somebody ask a question like that, and, you know, I'm annoyed. You know, I'm thinking, all this time you don't know who you are yet. You don't know why this has happened to us. So I know from my perspective, it's important for me to look at that virtue of love and look at that virtue of patience in love for our people, and be patient with them. We know who we are, but maybe they don't know yet. And maybe it's going to just take a little bit more work to get them to understand who they are.
Agreed. And I'm actually, when I see our people show that level of concern and inquiry about that, I get kind of excited, not in an overzealous way, but in a good way. But that's true,
and it is exciting, and it is exciting because we've all had that experience already, right? Where we came into knowing who we are, and if we look back, I think each and every one of us, everybody on the panel, everybody on the chat, we look back at that moment where we were like, oh snap, that's it. That's what happened. Oh, that's who we are. Oh, that's why we're on the bottom. That's why no matter where you go around the world, all the dark-skinned people are on the bottom. It is exciting. It's an exciting thing. And I think in some ways, we kind of wish that for our people who we know are searching and asking these type of questions.
Yeah. Anybody else?
You know what? I just wanted to take it back to where the brother Elisha was talking about it being between us and Esau. I was looking at the targums of Ankylos. Can I share my screen with you?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this, like this app here. We can read the targets of Ankylos here. Do you see it?
Yeah.
And then actually get the specifics of the prophecy spoken by Isaac. All right, and it says Isaac replied and said to Esau, this is Isaac and this is Esau, just in case it's all. It says, behold, I have made him your master, and all his brothers have I given him as slaves. I have sustained him with grain and wine. Where? Here. All right. What can I do for you, my son? Esau said to his father, do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father. And Esau raised his voice and wept. And Isaac, his father, replied and said to him, behold, the fatness, and it says the richness, the goodness of the earth should be your dwelling, and of the dew of heaven from above. You shall live by your sword, and you shall serve your brother when you have cause to be grieved, when his sons will transgress the word of Torah. You will throw off your yoke from your neck. Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing which his father blessed him. And Esau said to his heart, the morning days of my father are approaching. I will then kill my brother Jacob. Now, right here it tells you that when our people begin to transgress the Most High's laws and his Torahs, that's when the yoke will come off of Esau's neck. And then according to what's written in the KJV, after the yoke came off of his neck, then he would have the dominion. It says, in the sword will I live, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off your neck. So right now what we're dealing with is Esau's dominion, and we went through that before. A lot of times people want to identify Esau by whatever shade of skin he got, but prophecies tell you that they will have rulership in the earth right now, that they will have the dominion. When you look up the word dominion, it gives you a whole array of different words that pretty much sums up what it is, dominion. All right, look what dominion means. Hold on, let me get the definition. All right, so dominion, right? It says sovereignty or control. Then it says supremacy, ascendancy, dominance, domination, superiority, predominance, preeminence, supremacy, hegemony, authority, mastery, control, command, direction, power, sway, rule, government, jurisdiction, sovereignty, suzerainty, lordship, overlordship, leadership, influence, upper hand, the whip hand, the edge, advantage, hold, grasp, empire, predominance, permanency, prepotence, prepotency, prepolency. All right, so this is what we're dealing with. That's why we're dealing with white supremacy. That's why we're dealing with a government ruled by Esau. You know, and anybody that can't see that we under that rule, you know, they're not adequately looking at what the scriptures is saying, you know. But yeah, absolutely. Just to go back with what the brother Elisha was saying, this is a battle between us and Esau, right? The elders should serve the younger. One nation should be stronger than the other, right? That doesn't mean that they're stronger than us. Our strength is not defined through, you know, rulership. Strength is defined through suffering and what you can endure, you know. So I don't think there's any people on the earth that could endure what we've endured. The Most High said, "You have taken the dregs of the cup of His fury and wrung them out." There's no other nation that could do that unless the Most High Spirit be with them. So that alone tells you who we are, you know. But yeah, you know,
that lines up perfectly with, you know, who's the head and who's the tail in the earth right now.
Exactly.
So for anybody who wanna, you know, see the Bible in a more realistic light, a real time light, you know, it's telling you who's the people in control and who's the people at the bottom and why.
Mm-hmm.
He pointed out when our people fell from the law, that's when the yoke would break off of Esau's neck, and then they would be in rulership.
Absolutely. Because David had them under subjection. You know?
And let me say this one thing is that, you know, when it goes to a discussion that we had recently, where we can tell who Esau is just by how prophetically they fit the description of those who would have whose fatness, whose due would be the fatness of the earth. Esau is the only nation that's operating in the earth is many different nations. They're the whore that sit on many waters. They're the Canadians. They're the Germans. They're the Australians. They're the those from Great Britain. They're the Americans, and so they're the Swiss. Those from Switzerland. They're all over the earth as different nations, and we don't need not one scripture to say Esau has pink skin or white skin or anything like that. Just by the fact that he fits those words, we know who he is in the earth. You know, with almost absolute certainty, without, you know, being second guessed, because he fits those prophecies. The fact that he would gather his accumulations by the sword, that this would be the way he would live. It fits exactly what these prophecies says that he would do. And we don't have to look at Japhet, because I know some believe that Japhet is actually the one ruling earth. Some believe that Esau is the Arabs, which are actually at this current moment subservient in a lot of ways to, you know, those who we consider to be Edomites today. So it just shows that those prophecies tell us exactly who he is by the way he operates in the earth.
Absolutely.
You know, Esau, of course, he mixed his seed. Genesis 36 tells us he mixed his seed with the Horites. We read in the book of Jasher also how him and Rome, when Rome defeated the Edomites up in Mount Syria, they became one people. Later on, his great-grandson subdued all of Europe. Man, Esau just mixed around everywhere. And we can see Esau within the nations that had Israel in slavery after the Roman Empire. Every nation that had us in slavery was connected to Esau all the way up to today.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you just hit on, brother Kadar, because I've tried to explain that, and I've had difficulty really explaining that. I don't believe Esau came out looking like like Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. I believe that Esau originally was a melanated man. But through his spoiling of his seed, dealing with the Canaanites, who were one plagued with leprosy and also had dealt with the Horites before, and then him dealing with the Horites. Now that's how I believe they came to look the way they look, and I believe that everybody else ended up looking the way they looked through them dealing with Esau. Ishmael, his mother was an Egyptian. Japheth, his father was a melanated man who gave birth to Shem and Ham, who were melanated men, right? So Japheth was originally melanated too, until Esau started mixing with them, And then when Esau started mixing with them, that's how come they ended up having the hue that they have in their skins,
I told y'all, man, I showed y'all that video when the Zulu tribe looked like this dude first seen a white person, for the first time in reaction. I might pull that, but I want to share another video real quick. Let me see. It's this one. Hold on one second.
You think you're praying?
All right, it says, the devil has a nation, people called the Edomites. And this is a video, just the old clip. I came across this on the Facebook not too long ago. Some of you brothers and sisters might be familiar with this, but I want to share this. We still under fair use.
You think your prayers back to your church? That's the proper place to pray. So I'm sure that God will hear your prayer just as well down there as it will up here. But you're not going on this courthouse alone. You think you're not sinful, huh? No. Well, then go back to your church and pray. Well, sir, can we pray together, you and I? You do your praying. I do mine, big boy. You don't pray for me. I don't want you to pray for me. Well, will you pray for us? Because I don't think your prayers get above your head. Well, will you pray for us? No, I'm not going to pray for you. Do you believe in equal justice for all? I believe in justice. Do you believe in equal? I don't believe in equal nothing. There's no two people in this world alike, and they are not equal on any terms or conditions. There's no two peas in the world alike. No two pieces of money nor nothing else. And so are you saying that if I have a quarter and I'm black and you have a quarter and you white, then my quarter isn't as worth as much as your quarter? That's your quarter. I'll decide, my quarter is worth? I'll decide what my quarter.
He said, I'll decide what my quarter is worth.
They're actually our family.
Hold on.
They don't know.
He said, I'll decide what my quarter is worth.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yo, I got another video too, bro, but go ahead, brother. How?
No, I was just gonna say real quick. The sad thing about it is that he was being honest. I'm assuming that that's an old maybe video from the 50s or 60s in America, and every word that he said was absolutely true. He decides what his quarter is worth, and we don't. This really sad thing about that is it was absolutely true.
You know what's sad to me, man? That the witness the brainwashing of Christianity, even at that time, on this young man thinking that he could pray with someone who really hated his guts like that, But I'm glad the man gave it to him straight, because maybe he can he woke up and understood that the hatred that these people have for us is perpetual, I have a similar video.
Go ahead and pull it.
It's actually too. I want you to see what this Mexican guy says about not signing to black and what Willie D has to say about that.
Man, that's one of the videos I was gonna show. Go ahead and
no, you do.
Because that was the next one I was going into. That's funny.
Man. Spirit of the Most High, man.
That was the next one I was going into. Because I
crazy.
got something else after that. It's funny, man, because the link that I have to it now, I click on it and it says unavailable because that dude been catching a lot of heat behind that video.
Yeah, because rightfully so, man. Like, you know, come on, man. What he said there was like, come on, bro. Really? Really? All right, so this guy, he went all out.
I gotta see it now.
And he tried to clean it up and make it seem like it was something that is not. But I think the way Willie D actually summed it up was really the truth about the matter, because people were saying things about how they at least respect him for telling the truth. And I'm with Willie D. Now I don't respect nobody who hate me.
Yeah.
But here it is right here. Wait a minute. I don't think I put the sound on.
We still under fair use. For the brothers and sisters in the chat, just be aware that there is some language.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so be aware of that. That language doesn't reflect the integrity of this platform, but we're just using it as a means to bring out some edification. So we still under fair use.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go.
Racist thing. Help me understand, because when you say that out.
All right, so here you go. Right here.
Yeah.
If it was me on the phone with Wack, I'm not gonna ask him, would you sign the Southside? I don't give a if you want to sign one. We don't want to sign to no blacks.
Right.
Southsiders do want. Guess I don't want to speak on that, but we don't want to sign to no blacks. You know what I'm saying?
Is that because of it's not a racist thing? Help me understand, because when you say that out loud, it sounds crazy.
It's because like this. It's like this. It's like I go to jail. I rock with my race.
Mm-hmm.
I eat with my race. I do things with my race. So it's like I'm here. I conduct business. I do things with my race. You know, like we integrate and whatnot. But why would I have somebody in charge of my music career if I'm already programmed a certain way? I'm already institutionalized a certain way. Why would I? You get what I'm saying? That's just my mindset. So I'm like, nah, we wouldn't do that. And most of the homies would think the same way as
so
me.
When you're incarcerated in California, the Mexicans are with the Mexicans. Black people are in Southern California, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little different. So,
so he's speaking from a perspective of being locked up, right? But you know that you bring in a prison mentality out into the world and into business. You know that's stupid anyway too. But
well, he was also speaking of signing with labels.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So you're talking about he don't want to sign with no black labels, right? When he gonna bring up another label, he gonna think twice. But check.
Black people are locked up with. Usually, do they politic with?
It's like this. Look,
the whites and the Mexicans link up.
The Woods, the Southsiders. They run with the Southsiders.
So while you're in prison, you're running with the Woods, the Peck.
All right. So the Mexicans and the white people run together in prison. That's what he's saying. Right, he's saying they run together. They don't run with the blacks.
We run together.
He said it. He run with his race.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry. What'd you say, bro?
He said he run with his race.
Yeah, he run with his race.
It's the reason he's saying that. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Stick together.
Okay, so when you're in jail, you're alliance with the white guys, right? That's like you're okay. So you're saying some of that is,
but that has not.
But I just want to make sure none of that crazy racist is rubbed off on you.
I'm just not going. He's like you with the white guys. Yeah, that's how we are.
But you're hanging out with guys with swag.
All right, so I just want to say this first. Like he said, he won't sign to no blacks, but he'll sign the whites. See what I'm saying? So it's not about him sticking with his race, right?
But what if he thinks he's white? What if he thinks by being Latino, Mexican, or whatever,
is another form of being white? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I said that it was a reason why he said that. I'm gonna show something real quick. You got some more of this you want to play?
Yeah. I wanted to give Willie D's perspective on show you
Okay.
Willie D's perspective. Whenever, not unless you want to finish saying what he had to say, or do you want to go to Willie D's now, and then you can finish off with, because he had some more stuff to say.
No, I mean it's on you. He pretty much mentioned, you know, where he stood, but if you had some more, you can go ahead and finish it out. Once you're done, I'm gonna show a source to specify why he said when they're in prison, you know, he run with his own race. But you can go ahead.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show what Willie D had to say about that, and then we can bounce back from there. We can bounce to you, and then see what Willie D says. Hold on.
Who say that they respect that institutionalized Mexican.
Hold on.
What's up, family? This is for the off-code blacks who say that they respect that institutionalized Mexican rapper's transparency and honesty for his preference to not sign with the black label. They don't even get the irony that he didn't even mention any other group of people, just the blacks. Let me tell you something. Preference for the sake of partiality or survival is one thing, but this uncivilized mutt's preference is rooted in hatred and his proclivity to destroy black people. So fuck him and the horse he rode in on. I don't respect nothing about him. And since he so programmed to hate black people, why wasn't he programmed to not copy our music? No more talk. What's up, family?
Yeah, so that's what Willie D had to say about that, and that's true. Like, you know, all this hatred for our people, but you know, why you want to copy our style then? You know, go. You know what I mean, do your thing. You know, because everybody want to make merchandise out of us. Everybody want to steal what belonged to us. You know, they want to steal our record books, our Bible. You know, our scrolls. You know, our swag. They want to steal everything from us and then turn around and hate on us like they the originators of that stuff.
And then get more credit for being us than we get. You know, and I don't even consider that our culture. It's really a subculture, but it's funny how even with that, it draws people in. And everybody want to mimic what we do, you know, but I want to, let me share this real quick. I got this, this source right here from the Advise show. We under fair use. This is, I was looking at one of his videos and he put this source up and I thought it was interesting. Whenever I get stuff like this, I like to be fair and mention where I get this kind of stuff from. I think it's called the African Diaspora Channel. And some of you brothers and sisters may be subscribed to his channel. Brother got some awesome content. But I came across this, and what this says, these are different Hispanic representatives in the past, political representatives for the Hispanics in the past. This guy is named Hector, I think that's Garcia, founder of the American GI Forum. He says, we are not and have never been a civil rights organization. Personally, I hate the word. I think that's kind of strange because when you think of civil rights, everything that civil rights supposedly gain benefits the quote unquote minority groups of today, you know, and that excludes us, you know. to the main degree, but when you look at all the other minority groups, they benefit from different things that's in alignment with quote unquote civil rights. This is John J. Herrera. He's a president of this organization, and this is from 1952. Latin Americans of Mexican descent belong to the Caucasian race and are therefore white. And so this is why I believe he said what he said, because this is an understanding that most of them have. You know, remember this is 1952. And so he's saying that the Latin Americans of Mexican descent belong to the Caucasian race and are therefore white. This is Felix Tijerina, Mexican American president. I can't see the bottom there, but it says, "Let the Negro fight his own battles. His problems are not mine. I don't want to ally with him." Pretty much reflective of what we just heard. You know, to sign with a black label, be an alliance, you would have to come under their jurisdiction. All the work you do, the label pretty much benefits and profits from. And Gus Garcia says, "I know Negroes aren't getting their full share of democracy, but frankly, I'm prejudiced against Negroes, and I do not believe that they are entitled to everything that we get." And so this is just a quick source back in that particular video showing where people's mindsets are toward us. You brothers got any thoughts on this?
I mean, I got a comment I want to make. Those that are of Mexican, that we commonly call as Mexicans, or we can go down the lines, we could say Colombians, or those who might have migrated from South America or from South America up into Mexico, that the Spanish predominantly occupied those territories in the early 1500s and 1600s, maybe as early as the 1400s. We're specifically looking at those as being of the Spanish European descent only. Is that what we're talking? Is that what we're saying? Because the faces I'm looking at right here definitely look Spanish in the sense of being from Spain, or the latter coming after the Moors conquered those lands. And now I was obviously not talking about them being any connection to the Moors, those that did come from Spain outside of Morocco. So we're talking about specifically dark-haired Edomites being the closest known relative to those who live in, we would say, South America all the way up into Mexico, that was known as Native Americans per se. Is that what we're saying?
No, I'm talking about the people on the screen here.
Right. That's what I'm saying, because the people on the screen, we're saying that those are their relatives to the Mexican like that we saw in the video. That's what I'm saying. Is that what we're saying, that they're his kindred?
Possibly, because we know that when we talk about the Hispanics that are here, a lot of them don't come from Mexico. A lot of them come from South America.
Right.
I work with a lot of them.
Now, I know that, just for the sake of just putting it out there, I'm pretty sure brothers have seen ancestries that would link not only Puerto Ricans, but also some Mexican tribes to being descendants that come from Africa. You know, you got historians that make those connections. Where do you feel, where are you at on that?
I mean, that's possible if you're talking about particular people, but I don't really want to get deep into that. I'm
right,
more
I got
so concerned about the viewpoints of these people toward our people, as we can see in light of what our people may feel, because a lot of our people, when it comes to race relations, like I said, a lot of our people don't have the insight and the foresight to see the reality of what the other nations see about us.
I'm gonna just say this, that in on the West Coast, I guess that's how they operate was regarding like the Mexicans and the Caucasoids or the Edomites. I guess their relationship is tight like that there. But in Maryland, the white boys are not connected to anybody closely. The white boys are actually subservient to the black gangs inside on the East Coast, and the Latin gangs who, I was connected. I was cool with a lot of them in prison. They didn't have any connection to the white gangs like the MS-13 boys and all that. A lot of them had loose relations with the black gangs because those were the dominant gangs in prison. So they didn't really have a connection to white boys, nor did they identify themselves with being connected to them. But then I'm gonna say this: it wasn't a lot of Mexicans in the jail. A lot of the gangs that was in the East Coast, or where the prison I was at, they were a lot of them be from Honduras, South America, and things like that. Some of them were Mexican, so it wasn't a lot of Mexicans in there. One thing I wanted to say, and I know this is not even relevant to the point, a lot of them is short as hell, man. Like when you would see them walking past, I mean, it could be 30 of them, and all of them damn near was like 5'4", 5'5". They all of them was short, very, very short, and I always used to look at it, it's like, damn, man, like you don't have not one 6-footer in the whole lot of them. All of them is very, very minuscule in height, and I'm not saying that in an embellishment of the situation. I'm telling you, I never seen one in there that was taller than me, and I'm 6 foot, and then I'm hardly skyscrapering over will be considered the tallest brother on them, like maybe average height. But all the those Latino gangs were very, very short people, man, and Esau usually tends to have some height on him. But I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, and that's I guess with that kind of thing, it all depends. I'm sure where you were, it was majority us in there, and so for them it would be easier to side with us and roll with us because of that fact, and you have more than likely it's the brothers who got the clout and the respect, in a lot of regards when you're talking about that type of thing.
It wasn't that they were so much sided with the brothers. It's just more like of a neutral thing. Like their gang didn't have no brothers in it. It was all Latino dudes in their gangs, but it was more of a neutral stance. Like they rocked out with them. But then a lot of them messed with me. So, it wasn't, I mean, hey, brothers, it's going in the direction you were going in, man. I guess a lot of these things aren't relevant to the discussion.
But no, it just, with that particular point, it goes into race relations because once again, like at where I work, for instance, you'll see a lot of the Hispanics, they have their own thing, but in a lot of ways, they try to relate, more to the blacks. You know what I mean? And so that goes into what we was bringing up about the styles, the cultures. They live in a lot of the areas we live in or close to them. When it comes to music, they have their own trap music. They listen to a lot of our music as well, but they got their own trap music, Mexican trap music.
Yeah, they tend to distance themselves from us unless it really benefits them. If it doesn't benefit them, then they don't tend to really side with us in anything, whether it's political or economical or even spiritual, you know. And I'll say that because I've had situations with brothers in the past where, you know, brothers was a part of their camp, right? It was a Mexican part of the camp, and then they find out that this Mexican guy, or whatever, his down the line, he had an Edomite for a father, and then the switch. Then all of a sudden, this guy's against them. You know, he's making videos and he's saying, they're a cult and this and that. That happened with our brother Kazak, and one of the brothers that he had in his camp. The dude switched on him, did a DNA test and found out that his father was an Edomite. Then he switched up on him and started calling them a cult and that he was a false teacher and this and that. So you see that happen a lot with them. If it doesn't benefit them, then they switch up.
Right.
Yeah, I work with a lot of them, and I had talked to them, and I said one day I'm gonna start videoing this, and they would tell me, the ones that could speak English, they would tell me their history all the way down up to Spain and Portugal on their father's side. So a lot of them are these men right here, what you see, and then they'll tell you, you know what, my great grandma, she was real dark skinned, but their fathers looks like this. Then I met one in when I was up north. Matter of fact, I was working in Maryland. He was brown skinned, he like hazel eyes. He said, "Man, my daddy looked just like you." I said, "Look like me?" I said, "I'm not your daddy." But make long story short, his daddy was a brother. He was telling me his mama is from Spain, Portugal, but his daddy was a brother. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he just learned. I come around, he talked my head off, But the majority of them that I met, their fathers look just like these guys on here, because when the ship came over and when they took over that part of the land, we know for a fact that they did not allow. Matter of fact, they killed off most of the men and slept with the women. And they kept on blending in with the lighter part. And they are very prejudiced. What it is that I noticed this one guy, he was real cool with me. I just got a cement truck up there. But whenever he got around so-called white man, he want to act prejudiced, and say little stuff until I snapped on both of them out there one day. And he was just scared to death. They are very present. They love the white man. They'll talk about the white man behind their back, but in their face, they love them.
Yeah. So he walked up to you and said, "You look like his granddaddy." You said, "Man, I ain't your daddy."
Yeah, I look like his dad. Cause he's young. I said, "Man, I ain't your dad."
That's funny, man. Anybody else got anything on this? Where brother Yash at, man?
I'm here. I didn't know what to say on on this one, man. It's like, because usually they usually be amongst themselves, but I could hear them sometimes saying, like, they used to see me be like, negro and certain stuff and laughing at things, But I remember one time I was working up in North Jersey, and one guy, he looked just like these Edomite looking fellas up here. And he came and told me, he's like, "Yo, brother, we got to stick together."
Mm-hmm.
And, but it was racist up there where we was working. Then he pointed to his skin. I swear his stomach was whiter than white. And he pointed to me like, I said, "Okay." So but I know a lot of them because we have a whole lot of Puerto Ricans up there, and the ones my generation and younger, we all hung together. You know, they hang with the blacks, but their parents, though, a lot of their parents don't like us. A lot of the parents are racist, you know, and tell their guys, don't mess with the black girls, even though they are. They ain't hearing that. So I think that if the spirit of Esau is in you, he's gonna show up. That Esau spirit can't help do what it do. Like you go to the Dominican Republic and all of them, you can call them the definition of brown, yet the majority of them want to identify as white. They got a sickness over there. So I don't really know what to say, man. I'll say that Esau spirit is a strong spirit, though. It's a spirit. But that spirit that is in, you know, that is passed down through their blood.
Yep. And it shows in collective forms, and it shows in individual forms. Anybody else had anything on that? Brother Hal, brother Najee?
Hey, bro. Nah, I ain't really. I mean, you know, I grew up in Spanish Harlem, very, very segregated, just right in the neighborhood itself. I mean, you know, when I was a very young kid, you know, in school, you know, it was all Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and black kids. I mean, we all got along together, but, you know, when it was time to go home, you know, you knew that one block was a Dominican block, the next block was a Puerto Rican block, and then the other block was where the black kids and the black families lived. So, and there was really no mixing after dark kind of thing, if you know what I'm trying to say. I think the times where there was sort of a unity, I don't know if unity is the right word to use, but the times where we kind of came together was in times where, you know, not where blacks were being persecuted by the police or something like that, but the times where we came together were like block parties. You know, where, you know, and most of the block parties, I must say, were thrown by both people. I mean, it was always a mixture of music. You know, DJ would be mixing, you know, early rap tunes with Spanish music, and those are the times that I remember seeing everybody mixed. Other than that, it wasn't really a mixture. And we kept to ourselves. So I think when people have the opportunity to be something other than what is persecuted, they take that opportunity. And I think that even applies to black people. I don't think that anyone wants to be persecuted. And I think a lot of us, having not being awoken, right? Let's say we're all not awake. We don't know who we are, and you know, I could pass, right? I could pass for a white man. Well, you know what? I might do that, not knowing who I am. You know, a lot of people would take that opportunity. A lot of people have in our history. You know, I think it all boils down to this. At this point, we know who we are. We know who we are. And that's important to us. and it's important to wake up our people. Now, if you don't know whether or not a Mexican is, among the Israelites, and you're still debating that or trying to figure that out, y'all bless you. Figure it out. I don't believe that is true, but that's just me. Some people believe it's true. You know what? Go for it. but I think the main thing now is waking up those who we know are Israel, and that should be our main goal right now.
Hey, Howard, good. You got them videos of you out there dancing on the black block parties?
No, actually, there were no iPhones back then, bro. So it cost too much to make a video back then.
Hey, you know what though? The experience that I have with Mexicans out in the West Coast is relatively new compared to how it was on the East Coast. Now, the Latin community that I was in contact with was Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, and for all perspective that I viewed, we was a pretty close knit community. I mean, I didn't deal with any type of racism from them. I didn't deal with any type of segregation from them. Whether it was my homeboy had a Puerto Rican girlfriend, and another guy had a Puerto Rican guy had a black girlfriend. It was never the way it is like with Mexicans. Like Mexicans, man, they kill you. They kill you, man. Dealing with their sister, or and vice versa. They didn't want I would say they didn't mind dealing with black women, but they didn't like black men dealing with Mexican women, as far as what I've seen today here on the West Coast. So it's a completely different culture, but also on the East Coast is a little bit lax in a lot of different areas. Like I grew up around Mexicans, Dominicans, and Italians, right? And in all those situations, I've never dealt with any racism or segregation. We was all just rolling together, In one area we would be maybe in North where it's a lot of Mexicans, and then once you go a little bit further down and you get into areas with Italians at, and be truthful, like even when I got into construction in the union and stuff like that, people knew my family within that range too, where Italians were like, yeah, we know your family and this and that, So I don't know if it's the culture within one area versus another, but I didn't really deal with that type of stuff. As far as other people feeling a certain type of way that was growing up around me, or the people around me, acting a certain type of way. But I didn't really experience that stuff until until I got really older, when I got into like I want to say around 22, 23, then I started experiencing those things. And I think it's best explained with my godfather explained to me, like, look, man, when you young, everybody wanna help you. They'll help you out. And this my godfather he was actually a Puerto Rican man. He's like, but when you grow up, man, he's like, when you get older, he's like, realize, man, people ain't gonna want to help you like that, man, because you a threat to them. Now this man was a Puerto Rican. He is my godfather. You know what I mean? Raised me like a son.
Any of you guys ever seen this? This is video on TikTok of this old Latino dude, and he got like 6 things that you should do and not do. Anybody seen that?
Nah, it's a lot of videos on TikTok.
Nah, I mean, one of the things he said on there, he said, never tell people your plans, so they're trying to stop you. I don't know, either inadvertent or advertently, just some rule of thumb when dealing with people, which was just some wise words that the dude said.
Getting back to what I was trying to get to. Basically, once you become a man and you're a threat to all these other nations, you become a black man. You're a threat to all these nations, and that's when the racism and all these other things intensify, because now you're seeing that as someone who could conquer. You're seeing that someone who could overthrow. You know.
Yeah, I think that racism issue is something that's not really considered, you know, especially a lot of our people grow up in certain areas where it's a mixture of people. So because of that, you know, racism is not really a factor to a lot of people because, you know, they live in this area, I live in this area. We go to the same stores, we, you know, go to the same places, you know, so that kind of thing causes people not to even consider racism. But racism is something that's is beyond what we can see on the surface, you know. And I always say that if our people were to unite and come together, or let's say that this nation decides to give every black person a certain amount of whatever, just for an example, how do you think the other nations of people will see that or respond to that, in spite of knowing that, you know, the slavery, let's not even mention that, how people served this nation for free, all the other systematic things that our people been through. How do you think other people will respond to that in spite of knowing that?
Say that again. Like, how would they respond to it?
Yeah, how would they respond to, let's say, for example, if this nation decided to give all of our people a certain amount of money as reparations? And I'm just using this as an example. How do you think the other nations of people will respond to that?
I think anything done in the benefit of our people will be received with animosity, and hatred, and it'll be received with potential violence, you know, against our people. But I mean, I'm not worried about that because our people can hold their own. You know,
the point I'm making is these are some of the same people that live around us, you know, go to the same schools, the same stores, they live in the same neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to talking about issues of race relations, nobody wants to see the reality of it. You know, how many other people have, you know, benefited and been restored to some degree and nothing has happened? But when you look at anytime it comes to us receiving something, you get a negative reaction from other people, you know. And I think it's funny that anybody else should even have a say in what pertains to us, seeing that we haven't been restored.
You know what I think? You know what I think? I think people would do that out of fear, because a lot of the things that fragment our people is our condition, because of us being poor. You know, with the way we are. But if we had all the things to our means, we would be more together than anything.
But
if we had everything that we needed, we would no longer have any need to be doing some of the things that we do to each other. And I think people would fear that.
You know,
outside of Esau, who could really have a problem with us rightfully receiving reparations?
I believe everybody will.
Yeah, I do too.
And even the reason why I do believe that, because everybody knows that everybody knows, and it's unspoken, but they know that they are getting benefits as long as we on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they know that they're getting benefits at our expense.
Not only that, bro, like when we get something, it always comes with this assumption that everybody else deserves something too.
But
you know,
but
like when they was talking about reparations, and then you had they was talking about ADOS, the descendants of slaves, right? When that came in, you had people that had came from Africa who migrated over here on their own continents, trying to get in on that and say like, yeah, we get reparations too, and then when people was like, nah, that's for ADOS, those for descendants of slaves, and people had attitudes about that, like, well, why are they getting, why can't we get, or why y'all want to be separate from us? And like, well, all this time you were separate from us. All this time, we wasn't the same as you, and you was choosing your tribalism over us. And then when it came to us receiving something, then it was like, oh, we gonna get some too. And then the moment it was like, oh, we not gonna get them, then these people stopped supporting reparations and the fight for that.
But not only that, that still goes back to what I said, that because everybody knows, even them Africans, that they're getting benefits over at our expense. And then when they or some of them might not even know that it's at our expense. And then that's why they come here and they say they don't see how we can be here all this time and be on the bottom when they just got here. But because they know that they received all kinds of grants. You get foreign, if you're a foreign student, you go into college for free. You get all these benefits that we do not get. And they think that because they have gotten these benefits and we've been living here all along, we've been that we had these benefits and still can't do anything.
Yeah.
Also, you see that the Indians, East Indians, come over here, and you see Arabians come over here. You see Hispanics come over here. You see true Africans or Hamites come over here, and they can get a loan for $500,000 and start a business. Look at all these Mexican restaurants. We ain't never had that many restaurants in our life. We've been over here way longer up in North America than they have, and they come over here and go right past us. Look at the Indians. We've been over here longer than they have. They come over here and go right past us. And the Africans, same thing. We are in this thing all alone. Everybody's against us. And one thing I can say, everybody know who we are. And I think that's why the perpetual hate comes from. And everybody, almost everybody, is listed on Psalms 83. When you look at the nations that basically is going out of slavery and wipe away the remembrance of Israel. We know that the Most High already dealt with Egypt. He already dealt with Babylon. Now he got these other nations that he got to deal with that held us in slavery.
Go
ahead.
I was going to say, I seen this guy online talking about how much Nigerians hate us. You see, Nigerians can't stand us, and like they look at us as slaves.
Yeah, I've heard that from a few people. You showed it on one of your videos, one of those Second Exodus videos dealing with the great substance, and there was a part on there where they were taking phone calls. It was I guess a news station. They were taking phone calls, and this white guy called in, and they were talking about reparations, and he was giving his thoughts on it, and he said that all reparations is another division, and anybody can go back in history and look at something that was done to them and say that somebody owes them something. This was his perspective on what was owed to us. Coming from somebody who's a part of the demographic who controls over 90% of the wealth. Now, this is another thing. a lot of people talk about how poor they are and, you know, that type of thing. And it may be true, but there are a lot of ways that they've created for people to still obtain things without money, on credit and different things like that. How to deal with your finances in a certain type of way as a means to be able to accumulate certain things. And a lot of this information they kept back from us. It's only here recently that you see an influx of information coming out from people, from our own people, about, you know, how to deal with financial matters, you know, secrets to the rich and how the rich do their finances and things like that. But these are all secrets and information that they withheld from us for many, many years. And now the system is failing, you know, and now a lot of our people are coming into this knowledge on how to do this and how to do that. And so when I think about all of those things, I think about that whole demographic. You know, it doesn't matter if somebody, you know, lives in the same area as you, or they work in the same place as you. When it comes down to it, we're all a part of a certain demographic, you know. And when it comes down to it, everybody's going to choose their own demographic, or whatever demographic is most beneficial, you know. But when it comes to us, we're our own demographic, no matter what. Any other thoughts? I'm gonna share another video.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, everybody who did say something they was wronged in the past, they and complained and said they deserve reparations, down to the slave master, got it, except us.
It'd be interesting to know what type of opposition they faced when they was trying to get reparations and how they overcame that opposition.
They ain't get no opposition. They played a politician and they got it.
Well, somebody said it's gonna be a whole lot of people trying to be $5 Negroes if that happens. She say somewhere there's a leprechaun talking about he needs reparations. Yeah, from that movie, he's still looking for his gold. Yeah, but then that's everybody's take on reparations, you know. They make light of it. They don't understand what it actually is, and the true magnitude of it. Go ahead.
You know, they do. Because I remember going back in the 90s, and they used to bring these up amongst these conservative talk stations and these Christian stations, and they used to speak on it, you know, out of their self-righteousness. But at the end of the day, they called it the unspeakable. They don't even want to speak on it. They do know. They do know. And just like that lady, whatever her name, Jane Elliott, did on her thing, how many of y'all would like to be black? Ain't nobody raised their hand. She said, that's because y'all know everything that, you know, y'all know what the black man is going through, and the black people are going through, and none of y'all would choose to do that. No, they do know. As a matter of fact, when I was coming up, because I mean, my mom used to say, all you got to do is stay black and die. And the white folks used to say, all I got to do is stay white and pay taxes.
Man, you mean stay black, pay taxes, and die?
Well, we're gonna pay taxes.
We all got to pay taxes, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're gonna pay. Well, you're gonna be in jail, but you're gonna pay somehow. But that's what we used to say: stay black and die. They know. They just
Hey,
don't know.
brother Eric.
Yo.
Oh, sorry, brother Yash. I didn't mean to cut you off, bro. There are, before you go to that, I know you were going to go to a video, another video, but back in the chat, there were two questions, and I was kind of looking at them, and I kind of don't, I don't think it's a good idea to let these two questions go. They may be kind of far back for you to trace, but one was from Sister Cece, and she said, "Who are thy lovers that have forgotten us?" I think that, that's the title here. So I think, we want to answer that question for her. And then the other one was from AJ, and it says, "Just to be clear, all Caucasian people is Esau?" ? So there's like those two questions I think we should, probably address before we move on.
Okay. I want to address are the all Caucasian people Esau first. When you look at Esau prophetically, the Most High told Rachel that two nations were in her womb. So when we looking at Esau prophetically, we looking at a nation. To be honest, my belief is that it's a possibility that they are. We know that Esau mixed with the seed of Japhet. I could be wrong on that, but we know that Esau is in rulership, like the brother mentioned earlier, nonetheless. And so that's more so how we identify who Esau is, through who's in rulership in the earth. And if we had to line that up with a particular people, we see who that is in particular. When you go to other parts of the world, like Saudi Arabia and places like that, you see that there are a lot of people who look like us that's in rulership. Some people say that those are Edomites. Do I believe that? I'm not really sure. Those brothers who do believe that, they could be on to something, maybe not. But as far as are all Edomites white people, my answer to that would be yes, in this day and time, based on who's in rulership. And that's all over the world. Now, to address the question about the lovers, and I'm gonna let the brothers chime in on that too. The lovers, hold on, let me finish this point. The lovers are all of those nations who conspired against us in Psalms 83. One way to conspire against the people is to make them believe that you are in league with them, make them believe you are a part of them. And this is what a lot of these nations have done to our people, the nations of Psalm 83, who conspired against our people. When you look at America, it calls it one of the things that America or Babylon is indicted for its sorceries. And one of the sorceries that's on our people is the belief that we are a part of this nation, that we are a part of this government, and that we are actually considered a legitimate people. And so this is one of the things that all these nations have did. And so when you look at everybody who our people, say that, I don't have a problem with them and there's no racism, these are the very people who have forgotten us. You know, when like we're saying now, when it comes to us receiving good for our own, you know, these are the very people who are against it. But you brothers can chime in on that.
Yeah, I don't believe that you. All right, so when you say, just to be clear, all Caucasian people is Esau, I don't think one can really say based off of each individual. You know, can I say governmentally hierarchy? That where you see those structures in place, those are Edomites. I could say that, but you know, someone walking up to me that may appear Caucasian may not necessarily be an Edomite. You know what I mean? And that's not a I don't believe that's a yes or no question. I think that question requires a little bit more delving into of how to identify them. And that's why, you know, when we did identify them, we identified them not by individuals, but by governmental structures of rulership within the earth.
Right, and that's why even with that, for the most part, that ties to a people. And so when you look at those people, you know, those are the people who, you know, from top to bottom, you know, in each civilization, you have hierarchies, and then you have people who are at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same with Esau. Although they're in rulership, they have their people at the top, and they have their lower class people. You know, we just so happen to be scattered in all of these lands, and you know, but that's you know, ultimately whoever's in rulership, that's how we determine that.
Mm-hmm.
But are those the only questions?
Yeah, I thought those were the only two that I saw that kind of stood out.
I'd like to know what is your thoughts on those questions?
Oh, I was afraid that I'd be asked, but I'll be honest, and people aren't gonna like this. Well, some people won't like it. I don't know where quote unquote white people come from. I have no idea. I could tell you where I think they come from, but it's not a good thing. It involves.
I'm gonna have to sit you down, bro. You're gonna have to have a long sit down.
No, really, I do not see it in scripture. I don't know where they come from, but
Now,
I think
assuming you talking about it, just assuming you coming from like the color of their skin perspective. You
the color of the right, quote unquote, white people.
Yeah,
you know, I'm coming from the skin color perspective,
Mm-hmm.
the paleness of the skin, the lack of melanin. I think people don't throw stones at me. I think it has something to do with Naaman in the story of 2 Kings. That's just my view. I haven't studied it in depth, but from my perspective, I don't see where else they came from. That's just my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make a comment real quick. You brothers have seen the Verone Monastery, right?
No, I'm not sure what that is.
The Verone Monastery is a
How you spell
monastery.
it?
It's VRONEET.
Hold on.
Monastery. It's in
VORONEET.
ET. It's a monastery in Bovina, Russia. and the artwork on it dates back maybe over 500 years ago. Now, this monastery is, I showed Brother Karab, I think he's seen the picture, but he don't know what it's called. It shows the Hamashiach on the throne and the lake of fire coming from under the throne. Well, anyway, the angels or the messengers are leading a group of people to the judgment, and they're in chains. Ali,
hold on.
you remember that?
I'm actually gonna throw it up here. That's why I was asking.
Okay.
Let me see if I can throw it up here real quick. Hold on.
There's another one called the Pachuti Monastery. There's also somewhere where there you go.
All right,
right
here we
there.
go.
Now, if you look at those images right there, you notice that the ones that's in chains being led to the lake of fire to the judgment by the black angels are actually what would modern, in the modern day be considered to be white people, or who we might call Edomites. Some of us might call them.
Is this it?
That's it right there. Now, you notice that the angels are brown. You can notice that if you go up to the throne, everybody around the throne is black, amongst with who we would call Christ, or I don't know the names, brothers. You're supposed to say the Mashiach. And you notice that the ones that are being in chains right there are the only ones that look Caucasian. Now this monastery is in Bovina, Russia. That right there, that guy down there with the 10-string instrument with the crown on his head is obviously David, because we know he plays the 10-string instrument. And we see some of the people that's resurrected. You can also see some of the people to the side that might kind of look Latino, but that's a whole nother discussion. But the point I wanted to make with it is that the ones being taken in the chains to the judgment are the ones that look Caucasian, or who we modern day call the Edomites. Now this artwork is from over 500 years ago. Now it seems that our brothers who created this monastery and the artwork on it had a pretty good idea of who the Edomites were. So you see him in chains right there, Brother Crowd. You can give a close up on the ones in chains.
These ones
right there.
I thought we had it was a better looking one before, man. It looked so blurred out.
Yeah, I mean, because you can't get a close up on it, but if you go through some of the images, you'll find one where it actually allow you to get pretty close.
Yeah, that's why I was looking for one where it actually has more detail.
But either way, they had an idea who the Edomites were and who exactly was being taken into chains in the judgment. So I would like to get your thoughts on, if y'all didn't see it that clear. What about that one to the left right there?
This one right here?
Yeah, that looks pretty clear.
Yeah, that's pretty clear, right?
Yeah. You notice that the so-called, the red man right there, he's naked. And you see the weight imbalance right there where that's the actual...
Here you go.
You can see like the hand right there that's holding the weights of his deeds, his righteous works and, his unrighteous works. And you notice right there that, I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's the hand that's holding the scales. But I want to see what are your thoughts on this? And like I said, it's in Bovina, Russia. And it's a tourist attraction. People go there from far and wide to actually see what is considered to be the last judgment. And the lake, you see the lake of fire and all those things coming from it. So what are your thoughts? What are you guys' thoughts on it?
I think it's profound. When I first saw it, I gravitated to it. I wanted to try to purchase the source of it until I saw the price of that book. And I reneged on that, but I think it's a profound photo.
This one looks a little bit more better.
Yeah, like I said, you can see the ones in chains are the ones who, when the Bible says, "He who leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He who killeth with the sword shall be killed with the sword." Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. And it goes, even going into Isaiah chapter 14, verses 1 and 2, about taking captives who captives we were. And specifically the ones in chains, at least according to the reckoning of our brothers who created this artwork, are those who we call white people today. They're the only ones in chains inside this artwork. So to look back at our brethren, if you go up top, you see the Hamashiach on the throne, and you can see that those that are around the throne are dark-skinned peoples. But as you go down, that if we was to look at how the temple was done, and would be the upper and outer court. The inner court always had the priests, the closest to the throne or the closest to the mercy seat. But as you went to the outer court, you can notice that you see a different manner of nations there. Some of them look, pretty, some of them fair skin, but you notice that the fair skin that they possess is not the same as the red ones in chains. If y'all notice that.
Right. Yeah.
So, just and this just gives us a gaze into what our brethren, how they felt the judgment how it would work out, who would be who, and who was being taken to a certain position. You go over to the right, you see the angel right there blowing the trumpet, and you see all black people being resurrected. If you can close in on that, not to say that that's all that it is, but all the ones that's coming out of the tombs are actually brown-skinned peoples. And you can tell the guy right there with the cone hat on, he's definitely a priest, because if you go back far enough, the priests would wear those cone-like hats on their head. I can't say who he is, but I've seen some artwork from a long time ago. I don't know, I don't have the picture anymore, where a priest had on white garments and they had cone hats like that. That seemed to be the style that it was. But I just want to get you brothers' thoughts on this artwork and what it's depicting, because like I said, it is, you can all go online and look it up. It's called the Verney Monastery, and it's supposed it is in Bovina, Russia, and it goes back to maybe over 500 years ago.
Yeah, I think also when you look at the portion where it's showing the people being judged in chains, that's symbolizing a group, or people. When you look in prophecy, it talks about, whose seed he's going to destroy. But then it also talks about him sparing some from all nations.
Inside the book of 2nd Baruch, it actually talks about that as well. But if you go into the book, Rev says that Satan shall be bound for 1,000 years. Now, I know there's different understandings on who Satan is, but you obviously see who's bound in this picture.
Yep.
This right here, that show you what they believe Mashiach look like. Also,
got that microphone. That's what we call the afro.
Oh, the microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jackson 5 microphone.
You can
got that straight up JJ Evans. I mean, my bad, Michael Evans throw.
Yeah.
You see these guys up a little bit closer too.
There's actually another one called the Pachute Monastery that's similar. It has similar artwork. You'll see who might be considered to be King David, and he has all white hair with a crown on. And this artwork is notorious. Even going back to the Russian icons, if you guys have seen that artwork.
That's actually the book I was looking at purchasing at one point. I think they may have dropped the price on it, but when I looked at it, it was way too overpriced.
This is what you said with David right here, right?
Yeah. That must be King Saul. And playing the music. I showed another picture once on a live that I did where it showed the battle of King Saul, and it was showing him going to battle, but it was showing these dinosaur-looking creatures.
It's called the Pachute. I'll grab it up. It's called the Pachute Monastery. Somebody was asking about what's the monastery. I gotta remember that. It's called the Pachute. Let me play around with it in the Google, see if I can get it. But it's called the Pachute Monastery. Is another one that's similar to the one similar to the Vernay Monastery. I had a bunch of pictures of it on my old computer.
I actually got a photo right here. Let me pull this. Hold on. Hold on. Let me
Actually, no.
Let me show this. I don't know how to spell, bro.
You
might as well be speaking Chinese, man. I don't know how to spell it.
Here's one of them that I have in my archive. Hold on. This is one picture, and it was showing how they were going to war, going to fight against the giants, the Philistines. You notice these little creatures right there, and then look at the man riding his back. You know, that's got to be a giant. You know, they were still fighting giants back in them times during King Saul and King David's time. This is one of them, and it's called The Suicide of Saul.
I'm wondering, do you think perhaps those could have been giraffes?
Nah, man, that don't look like no giraffe.
Not at all. They look like brontosaurs. Are they brontosaurs? I'm saying it like
brontosaurs.
Brontosaurs, whatever. Like the Flintstones.
Diplodocus.
Yeah, that's what
I forget what they was called.
I know all the names.
Brontosaurus burger.
Diplodocus, Allosaurus.
But you see that?
That's it, Triceratops. Those are all the main names. I don't know the main.
But yeah, that's that on that. I got one more video I want to show. Then we're gonna close out. I wanna get y'all thoughts on this. This is more on a more lighter note, but we talking about how people deal with us, how people relate to us, how people use us as a means to benefit themselves. In light of that, I want to get y'all thoughts, because this is dealing with the sports arena, dealing with how Brett Favre stole money from Mississippi. And get y'all thoughts on this. Hold on. Everybody know Brett Favre, and when you're talking about football, you know, our people, we hold people like this in high regard, you know, for what they do on the field. And a lot of those things are even fabricated and by design, you know. In athletics, we compare oftentimes ourselves, we compare a lot of black athletes, but you never hear any comparisons with the white athletes, the white quarterbacks. Nobody ever compared Joe Montana to Tom Brady, you know, or Jim Kelly or Brent Favre or anybody like that. It's just whenever they're on the scene, they shine, they do it for however long they do it. Peyton Manning, you know, when they're done, they're done. They get they sportcaster jobs and, you know, they set for life. While they beating up women and getting caught up in rape scandals, you don't really hear much about this stuff. But check this out.
People that was in the room when Brett Favre went to the Hall of Fame, and nobody. I talked to people that was in the room when Brett Favre went to the Hall of Fame, and nobody mentioned about text messages that he sent to that jet masseuse. Nobody mentioned anything about the addiction that he suffered from. But yet T.O. They brought up everything. Can you imagine if T.O. would have had an incidents like Brett Favre off the field? T.O. still to this day right now would not be in the Hall of Fame. Yet they walked right past it like Brett Favre did nothing.
That is true. I give you that.
The problem that I have with this situation, you got to be a sorry mofo to steal from the lowest. Mississippi is the poorest state in our country.
It is.
Its citizens. So if they're the poorest state, Brett Favre is taken from the underserved. You made $100+ million in the NFL. This is what we know. Scared when black and brown people do fraud the government, they hell bent. You get an EBT card and you get WIC and you get stuff like that, boy, they move heaven and earth to try to put you in jail for $400 little measly dollars.
Fact.
Now this man done took $1 million and they sitting around like, well, you know, it happened and we'll see. And they're gonna get more money and do it all over again. The biggest criminals, the people that steal the most, look like that. But he's been a sleazeball. He's been shady for a very, very long time.
Whoa. Man, that's tough, ain't it?
Whoa.
That was
Yeah,
rough.
man. Kudos to for him for speaking that on that platform. He still work there?
As far as I know.
Yeah, he did.
He might not have that job in a couple of days.
Yeah, a couple of days. He's still there though for now.
He come at them caucuses like that. He might be in trouble.
I don't know. Shannon got them big guns. They ain't trying to mess with him. They let him say what he said.
But he made a lot of strong points.
I want to see that again, bro. I want to see it again. I want to see it again, man, because he went in on him.
He made a lot of strong points.
I ain't sure.
And that's another reason, you know, that's how you keep their names untainted, you know. Like when you look at the entertainment world, sports and other forms of entertainment, you see a lot of our own people at the end of their careers. What's happening to them? They're getting tainted. Their legacies are tainted.
Yeah, they'll move heaven and earth for anybody to get an extra couple of bucks on your EBT. They coming for you.
He said $400 million. Yeah, I mean, because that's money. Money is a god to the people who control, you know, this land or in control. So they keep track of it, you know, and those who may be getting by, not getting away.
Samuel said these are children of Japheth, not Esau.
Say what?
So his brother Samuel said these are children of Japheth, not Esau. It's Japheth doing this.
Oh well.
Japheth over here ruling the earth.
Oh yeah, somebody pull that up for him.
Yeah,
I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this again. Somebody pull that precept for him to show him who running things. Here we go.
I talked to people that was in the room when Brett Favre went to the Hall of Fame, and nobody mentioned about text messages that he sent to that jet masseuse. Nobody mentioned anything about the addiction that he suffered from. But yet T.O., they brought up everything. Can you imagine if T.O. would have had an incidents like Brett Favre off the field? T.O. still to this day right now would not be in the Hall of Fame. Yet they walked right past it like Brett Favre did nothing.
That is true. I give you that.
The problem that I have with this situation, you got to be a sorry mofo to steal from the lowest. Mississippi is the poorest state in our country.
It is.
Its citizens. So if they're the poorest state, Brett Favre is taken from the underserved. You made $100+ million in the NFL. This is what we know. Scared when black and brown people do fraud the government, they hell bent. You get an EBT card and you get WIC and you get stuff like that, boy, they move heaven and earth to try to put you in jail for $400 little measly dollars.
Fact.
Now this man done took $1 million and they sitting around like, well, you know, it happened and we'll see. And they're gonna get more money and do it all over again. The biggest criminals, the people that steal the most, look like that. But he's been a sleazeball. He's been shady for a very, very long time.
And you know something, when it comes to other people benefiting off of our people, I had a friend who is in education, and I learned that a teacher, if you graduate with your education degree and you get a job in the school district, if you go to the lowest school districts, the most impoverished, let's just go ahead and say the black school districts, inner city schools, if you have any student debt and you teach in those districts for the first, I think, 3 to 5 years, then they'll relieve your debt, your student debt. And this was maybe like 3 years ago. I learned that 3 years ago or more that I learned that.
Trying to grab the scripture real quick, bro. Where is it? Let me see.
In Esdras.
I'm going right at it real quick. Let's ask the question first. Who put a 1 up if you believe in the 400-year prophecy? Put a 1 up if you believe the 400-year prophecy. Trying to find this scripture real quick.
Brother Yash said that the 400-year prophecy was debunked.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that's what Brother Yash said.
I don't see no smoke, man. I don't see no smoke.
It should have been a lot of smoke.
It should have been smoke everywhere.
That book of Jasher sums up. That's a important clue in identifying Esau today.
Yeah. So in the end, all right, here we go. Let me grab that one. Hold on. I'm gonna grab a couple. Hold on. Gotta get it out the script.
Put a two in the chat if you don't believe in the 400-year prophecy and that it pertains to us today. Put a 2 if you don't.
Yeah, put 2 up.
This is what I want to see. No 2s yet.
Gotta be a 2 somewhere in there. It's gotta be a 2 somewhere in there. It's a 2 in there. It is a 2.
I don't see it.
2 somewhere in there, bro. There's gotta be a 2 somewhere in there.
2 eyes, look. Smitty man.
Smitty like, where they at, son? All right, so here's the thing, man. By default, right? If you believe in the 400-year prophecy, right? According to the prophecy that's written in the Targum of Ankylos, that we would be in captivity for the 400 years by Esau. I'm gonna read it parallel to Genesis 15 out of the KJV. Then I'm gonna read it out of there. All right. Let me share my screen, bro.
I'm still looking for them 2s.
Hey.
I know they in there. I mean,
I know they right. They gotta be in there because here's the thing. Like, hold on, let me see. Hold on. We got. Let me see how many people you got.
Hey, while you waiting on them 2s, man, if I put one inside the private chat, does it count?
Yeah, it count.
Yeah,
You try to bring smoke, bro? Okay, already, bro. Man, you know, I know how you do, bro.
Oh, you said the 40-year
It's gonna be
prophecy.
like-
Oh, my bad. I believe that when I thought y'all said the 40-year prophecy. My bad.
That's the 40-year prophecy. That's my life right there. That's the prophecy of.
I
Brother
thought y'all was
Buddy.
talking about the one from Jim Crow. My bad.
Man,
We got 111 people in the room, man, and only 70 likes. So it's got to be at least 40 people out there that disagree.
and that's more likes than I thought we had.
You got 70 likes, so there's at least 40 people out there that's sitting and watching but don't like what they hear.
I'm not used to likes.
Let me throw this back up here. All right, so let me get this script first. So the book of Genesis chapter 15 verse 12 says, and when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and lo, and horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed should be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. Right? So that's the Genesis account within the KJV, King James Version Bible right here. As you can see right here, it's lit up right there. It's lit up, and that if I enhance it, then you can see a little bit better. But that's what we're dealing with right there. Now let's take a look at what it says in the Targums. All right. The brother Elisha used to have a lot of the accolades on the Targums. I don't know if you can give a quick breakdown on. I know it's written by the same people who wrote the Pursuit of Sirach, which was involved in writing the New Testament. Would I be correct by saying that? Brother Elisha.
Yo, I don't have and all them books I had, man. I don't have a lot of the books that I had before I went. And I remember, I can't remember exactly who was circumscribed to from back then. You know, so like a lot of that information, man. Like right now, I'm still looking for the Pachute Monastery. So, man, you on your own with it right now. I don't have I have a lot of the information I had before I went down.
No problem. It's cool. This is what I'll do. I'll enhance this real quick so that you can see. This is Genesis 15, right? Dealing with Genesis 15 in verse 12, the same verse that we just read up in here in verse 12, right? The difference between the Targums is it actually tells you who would be afflicting the children of Israel, right? And it says, and when the sun was going to set, a sleep profound and sweet fell upon Abraham, and behold, Abraham saw 4 kingdoms which shall arise to bring his sons into subjection, and terror, the greatness of darkness, fell upon him. Terror, that is Babel, that's the Babylonian Empire. Darkness, that is Media, that's the Medo-Persians. Greatness, that is Greece, that's the Greco Empire. Fell, that is Edom, and in parentheses it says Rome. The 4th kingdom which is to fall and to never rise again forever and ever. Right now we're currently under that 4th kingdom, right? And as you can see, the Targums associates that kingdom with Edom. So according to the 400-year prophecy, we will be held in captivity for 400 years and afflicted, well, not held in captivity 400 years, but held in captivity and afflicted 400 years by Edom, according to the Targums. Right?
Yeah.
And then if we take it back to that, to this right here, let's take a look at this right here. Psalms, right? Right. We know this land is associated with a couple of different things, right? We know this land is associated with spiritual Egypt, spiritual Sodom, and also the daughter of Babylon, right? This is what the book of Psalms says. It says, how shall we sing the Most High song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth,
if I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. Remember, O Elohim, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundations thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy should he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Right? So here we go again with Esau or Edom being associated with the daughter of Babylon. We know Esau didn't rule the physical land of Babylon. We know they never had any control over that area, especially around the time when these books were written, the Psalms were written, right? So we know that Esau is the one that's ruling the daughter of Babylon today also. What else can I see? Now I know somebody told me that this is irrelevant, but I want to take a look at this, right? Check this out. Dukes, right? Let's see, Dukes. Let me see, Dukes. All right, anywhere you see Dukes in the Bible, anywhere you see the word Duke in the scripture, it's associated with Esau and his people. You don't see that title with anybody else. Somebody told me, oh well, that's not it's not Hebrew. It's not about it being Hebrew or not. It's about the title of it, right? The title Dukes is not applied to any other nation under the heaven within the book of that we call the Bible. It's not associated with Japheth. It's not associated with Ishmael. It's not associated with the Persians. It's not associated with the Hamites, right? Or Japheth, which I've already said, right? Now, let's take a look at let's take a look at this. Let's just type in Dukes and see what we get. What if we type in Dukes, right? Or Dukes. Let's say Dukes. What are the images of the let's see Dukes. You got Dukes of Hazards, so obviously I got to be more specific with
like
that.
royalty or something.
Royal Dukes. Let's say Royal Dukes, right? What do these people look like to you? Did this look like Japheth? Did this Japheth? Did these people Japheth? But yet they got the same title as that man within the scripture called Esau. All these royal dukes here.
Now, remember we showed how a lot of people, because in Genesis 10, it talks about the seed of Japheth, right? And then it goes into saying by these were the isles of the Gentiles. So a lot of people, by virtue of that, believe that that's saying that the seed of Japheth are the Gentiles.
Let's get it. Genesis. Let's just go straight to it because it's the first time Gentiles is mentioned. All right. Give us that breakdown real quick, bro. I'll snap the scripture. You name them, I'll get them.
In verse 2, it talks about the sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus. The sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Riphath, Togarmah. And the sons of Javan: Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. And then it says, by these were the isles of the Gentiles. So right there in verse 5 is where people automatically assume all the sons of Japheth being Gentiles, which they are. But this is not telling you that the seed of Japheth are the Gentiles.
What is it saying, bro?
This is saying that by Japheth's sons, the isles of the Gentiles were divided. So Abraham's sons were Gentiles, all but Isaac.
Let's take a look at this. Let's see what this word Gentile says. According to let's get the dictionaries out.
Let's pull it out of the Brown Jarvis Briggs Hebrew definition of Gentiles. Right? All right, so we got that, and you go to Gentiles, right? And this is what it says. Goy, and this is from the Hebrew 1471 in the Brown Jarvis Briggs. Goy, nation, people, now masculine. It says nation, peoples. Then it says usually of non-Hebrew people. Then it says of descendants of Abraham. Right? Now let's start right there real quick, because it says usually. So under normal circumstances, a Hebrew people would not be called a Gentile under normal circumstances. But then it goes on and it says descendants of Abraham can be called Gentiles. And then not only that, Israelites can be called Gentiles. You see that? So it's giving you this whole rundown of what a Gentile is. Goyim or Gentile, right, which is translated from Goyim, just means nation. That's all it means. It's just a nation. So when we see these are the isles of the Gentiles divided, that doesn't mean that everybody from that area was specifically Japhetic. That's not what it's saying. It's just telling you that the people of Japheth's sons labeled these people, or they divided these nations.
Yep. Yep. And so that's an understanding that we brought out before. I think a lot of people are privy to that understanding. And so when you talk about who's ruling, you know, it's apparent that Japheth is not ruling. You know, all over the scriptures, even in prophecy, it makes it clear that Edom is who's in control. He's going to be ruling in the end time, and it's his kingdom that the Most High is going to destroy and bring down.
I mean, just to add on to what the brothers are saying is that if you go into, I believe it's the book of Jasher, it tells you that Esau actually mixed with Cheatham, which was of Japheth, and was absorbed into that nation, and they became one people, ruled by Esau. You know, so it's some history that Esau mixed with some of the sons of Japheth, specifically through Cheatham, beside the book of Jasher.
Here's another thing to look at. Idumean, right? Idumean is a Greek word for Edomite. Am I correct?
Yeah, from my understanding.
So King Herod, he was an Idumean, right?
Yeah, his father Antipater was an Edomite.
Exactly,
and
and
he was Edomite too, but his father was too.
He was a Roman, though. Also, would I be correct in saying that?
Well, his father was under the Roman province, but he wasn't. It doesn't. If you go in the book of Maccabees, one of the Maccabees, it doesn't say exactly that he was a Roman, but that he was subservient to the Romans, and he pretty much was under a vassal kingdom to the Romans.
Okay. So, but he was sanctioned by them, and if he
right, he was saying, he was sanctioned by him.
Yeah. Okay. So there's all kinds of clues we can look into to understand that, you know, the people that we're under right now, it's not Japheth. That's just that's Esau we're under. You know, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So when this place fall, would it be Japheth's kingdom falling? Would it be Esau's kingdom falling? You know, so we got to ask ourselves these questions. You know,
that's you got to remember about Esau mixing with almost every nation, and then assuming their identity. Mm-hmm. You know, Esau has managed to become every nation on the earth, even through like television. Man, I was looking at something recently when it talks about how Esau was the last samurai,
through Cecil B. DeMille's Exodus, he's the Egyptians, he's the Hebrews. So Esau is successfully, in countless other movies, Jake Gyllenhaal is the Prince of Persia. So Esau has just managed to take every nation's renown or antiquity and make it himself.
Indeed.
Same as he did in history.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna break off real quick. Any of you other brothers, Brother Yash, Brother Hal, Brother Najee, got anything to add?
Oh no, you brothers laid it out. I'm good.
Yeah, same here.
The brother AJ asked, who is Japhet then? If I think one day if we can open up the book of Josephus. Josephus, as of 2,000 years ago, he breaks down who are what nations and where they resided as of his time period, just for edification purposes. And we can get into who Japhet is and who different nations are, who's Moab and Ammon, who he said was dwelling in coast Syria as of his time. So that might be a good subject.
Yeah, indeed.
Yep. Break time. We'll be right back. Shalom.
This is the This is the
To be honest with you, the U.S. government, this current U.S. government hates black people. Well, the current U.S. government system is of the same system and same structure that it's always been. And it's, we can call it misliked, we can call it an antipathy, but regardless, there is a difference in how the government treats and addresses black people or Africans in America in the way they do other.
Can you give me a couple examples?
Sure, and I'm glad you asked that. It's a great alley-oop, I call it, right? I'm a slam dunk it. So if your audience, right, who are probably going crazy right now, this guy, said these things, the government hates black people. I want everyone to look up things like the war on drugs, which is targeted black people, mass incarceration, COINTELPRO. The FBI director, James Comey himself, and the New York head of police also said the origin of policing came from slave catching. We also can look at black codes, the vagrancy tactics, the bombing in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the bombing in Philly of the Moo family, all done by the U.S. government towards African people in America.
So you would say arresting people and keeping law and order is anti-black? By saying that, are you saying that black people inherently are the ones committing the crimes?
No, what I'm saying is that having a system, a structure in place, right?
So that's law and order to be bombing
freedom
people.
or enslavement of black people, and where a system was created called the convict leasing system by our government, and where the same year that slaves were free, they created laws called vagrancy tactics that made it illegal for blacks to be homeless and would lock blacks up and put them in a convict leasing system.
But see, here's the thing. I hear what you're talking about with respect to America's history.
Right.
But
the same practices are happening today.
Well, I see homeless people all over the place, but I still don't see where you're justifying your current anger toward America or the American government. I can see you being upset about what may have happened in the past, but you cannot say it's occurring. Of course it's
So we
changed.
shouldn't be angry
The fact
about
you're
all
in
that
the
stuff.
studio right now talking the way you are is the best proof in the world that it's changed.
The fact that the 13th Amendment still says slavery was abolished except you commit a crime says that things are still the same. And when you have inmates working in prison, majority of whom are Africans in America,
Someone
who
would
are
say
making
you,
20
Jay,
and 30 cents a day
Jay, why
for...
are the majority of people in prison of African descent?
Because the African people in America were never
Are the ones
repaired
being
after their
targeted.
enslavement, after their Jim Crow, after the government redlined them, after the government never gave any restitution for the Holocaust enslavement of African people. So if you don't repair a people or you put them in ghettos and you put them poor and uneducated in ghettos, you're going to get that kind of activity.
It's interesting when we have this conversation. Sometimes I drive home on the West Side Highway. It's a little cluttered, so I'll take the slow route. And I drive through some of my old neighborhoods that I lived in throughout Harlem. And I see them now, and they're becoming what they call gentrified. So it's the same neighborhood, the same buildings, but less graffiti, less garbage on the street. So what makes a ghetto a ghetto? Not the buildings, not the neighborhood, right?
Poverty was
So the
making
way people treat the
idiot.
buildings in the neighborhood makes it a ghetto. Who can you blame that on other than the person in the mirror?
There's two accountabilities.
Poverty
There's
is what makes it
accountability
that
for
way.
Africans in America that we have to repair ourselves because of the trauma that we suffered. But I liken it to if you take someone who was kidnapped, right, and or a woman or a man who was molested for several years, and then they're pushed out of the house that they were molested in, and then they go out in the streets and they're promiscuous. You blame them for being promiscuous, but you don't blame the person who caused the trauma.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
See,
It's
not a
No,
stretch.
it's not a stretch.
Who
Who is this big head dude, man?
Right? I'm talking
Who is this big headed dude, man?
I mean, well, this is pretty much the brunt of it right here, because can two walk together except they be agreed? Now, whenever any other ethnic group of people are experiencing something as a whole, you never see them in disagreement. Whenever any other racial group is going through something as a people, be it oppression from a government, and you see it all the time. You see people in other countries standing up and revolting against the government, protesting, and they're all on one accord. But when it comes to us being here, you have some of our people who believe, because they're well off or they may be in a certain position, that racism doesn't exist, and they only see one side of the spectrum. They see the end result. They're looking at the condition that people are in now, but they're not factoring in the history. And you heard them mention, I understand where you're coming from in terms of history.
This is
A
the
lot
type
of
of dude who get
a lot of
roasted in
people
certain
try to ignore that and say you're living in the past. It's 2022. Go ahead, bro.
He's the type of dude that get roasted in the circle, man. You know what I mean? TD Jakes fat neck having that. You know what I mean? Get your old Booker T. Washington headline, man.
I'm sure he'll
Man,
be
I
like,
roast this dude, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If you can get your old cow kick headline having.
the roast.
I mean, like, come on, bro. Really? This guy, you gotta be kidding me, man. This old fat deacon fat head. Come on, man. Stop playing with me.
Yeah, but see, that's where it
drive by the hood. Yeah, sit on the, get him. You know what I'm saying? Old Frederick Douglass headline house, get him. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Booker T. Washington boots house.
But see, that's where this is where our arguments become neutralized. And see, this is another thing they'll do. They'll have these people come out and speak, you know, and I'm aware who this brother is. He does a lot of financial type of stuff, you know, but a lot of these people don't really come from a standpoint of prophecy and what the Most High is saying. So they're not trying to steer our people back in that regard. They are calling out the oppression of our people, but then they'll put it on an open platform to let it be heard before millions, but then it'll be rivaled against somebody of the same party. And that pretty much neutralizes the argument, because you have one brother who's saying, look, this is us doing it to ourselves, you know, and another brother is saying, okay, you're right, but the doing it to ourselves part is an end result of something that was systematically put in place. You wouldn't have so much poverty and crime amongst our people if it wasn't for the poverty that was systematically instituted into our communities. Yeah, and a lot of people know about the subculture of the Jews and the Irish here in America. Everything they're saying we're doing now is what they used to do, but they pretty much bailed them out, gave them resources, gave them jobs, gave them a certain infrastructure, and now you don't really see that way of life being prominent amongst them, being in poverty.
Yeah,
but then that transferred over to us. Go ahead.
I was just saying they don't factor in cause and effect. You know, they just look at the narrative or look at the condition and say, oh, these guys are doing this, these guys are doing that, these guys are doing this and that, you know. And this guy's talking about he rides by his old neighborhood. Like, you know, you ride by your old neighborhood and stick your nose up at the people and act like you better than them, or what? What is it? You know? Gentrification is not a sign of the issue being with the people. You know?
Right.
Like gentrification in places being gentrified is supposed to be it's supposed to represent, oh, you was doing it wrong, so we gonna come in and do it the right way. That's not what that represents. Right. That represents people being pushed out of the neighborhood
for the benefit of whoever's doing the pushing.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
we all know what gentrification is, and whenever it happens, it's always a deeper motive behind it. Like where I'm from, they gentrify the area because they built a stadium in that same area. So they wanted to get some of that area accessible so that people can come down, whether they was coming from out of town or whatever. They wanted to go to a game, they could have access to that stadium. You know, so it wasn't to clean it up for the people that was there. They saw a need and say, let me do this like this so we can have this, so we could get this on the back end, you know. But
Yeah, I don't think he rode by the hood either, brother Camper. I don't think so either. I think he just fronting. You know,
Probably
you
just stayed on the
take the
highway.
long route and ride through my old neighborhood.
You know, it's
Take a long-
always a freeway that goes
Yeah.
through the ghettos. He probably just going 70. He drove through the hood going 70.
Yeah, man.
What the
Human
human rights violations of Africa?
We're talking about the individual, not the history. You know, one thing I gotta tell you something.
They come together, King.
They don't.
They come together. If they did, if there wasn't a need for repair of people, then the Japanese Americans wouldn't have been repaired or had restitution after their 2 years internment camps in America. Or the Jewish
How many times they got to bring that
Are
up?
you saying all it would take in your mind then is some sort of restitution check from the government?
I didn't say check.
No, well, you're saying some sort of
Yeah. I would say money. You give us the same thing you get everybody else.
Let me tell you
It
something.
starts with
There are no black people in
accountability.
America right now who were ever slaves. Not a single one. There are no white people in America at this point who were ever slave owners.
Correct.
Okay.
But is there not residual effects of that?
the overwhelming
Are there no
majority,
residual effects of that?
not for the average person on either
Is there
side,
no long
not for the
trauma
average
of that?
person for the either
How
side.
did black people get to the ghettos you talked about?
You have to
Did the
escape
government
yourself.
not redline black people, put red lines on the map? Google it if you don't know, King. The government put black people into ghettos through redlining. That created it.
Jay,
Is that right or wrong?
ultimately, we are in a point right now.
Did the government not
Do you
create
think-
COINTELPRO?
do you see
A government program that broke up civil rights leaders and assassinated our people. Did the government not do that?
Jay, hold on, I guess, activist Jay Morrison. All right, Jay, before we went to break, you were explaining all these government programs that.
All right, that's all I'm gonna play on that.
I wouldn't
But
be surprised if some years later we find this brother and bleached his skin and pulled the Tommy Sosa.
yeah, I wouldn't either. In order to keep his job, they wanna lighten up things around the office. So
If you look at it, man, you got a lot of people whose perspective that we might hate, but their perspective isn't with the 400-year prophecy. So their idea of their viewpoint politically is based off of us finding some means to stay here and function as a people. They don't. They've never considered us being outside of this construct. Even if the reparation thing happens, they're not considering reparations on the point of having repatriation or being relocated
right.
with our names and pedigrees. They're always looking at things as if we're functioning here under the same jurisprudence system that we've been under for the last 300-400 years. So their perspective is completely with us dealing with the system as it is, continuing forth. So if you were to take one of them brothers that actually believe the 400-year prophecy, their words, their vocation would totally be different. Their viewpoint would totally be different. But we can't be surprised at anything some of these liberals, right wingers, whatever other category, Tea Partiers that we look at that have these political discussions, because all they're considering is black people in this country under the same system.
Yep. And that's, somebody put that in the chat earlier. You know, when you talk about reparations, you're not just talking about a sum of money. You know, when you talking about repairing our people, you're talking about putting us back in a position that was intended for us. And not that that's their responsibility or their plan or anything like that, but that's us being fully reparated. You give us the wages of our labor, the wages of our forefathers' labor, and you send us back to the designated place where we belong so that we can restore our land. Excuse me. But
if you can imagine this, it's a YouTube video that brothers did some years ago where I took some of the information out of the Constitution's book regarding government contracts and how if we were to be paid, when we are to be paid reparations, that it would have to be with gold and silver, and through the inside the Constitution's books, it actually says that all discharge of debts had to be with gold and silver. Now imagine reparations having to be paid that way. We might have to go to war for it. I think that if any reparations was to be paid out, it'd be similar to North Carolina, how they were trying to give a portion of funds for brothers, black people in certain counties to be able to have the money to go to college or different things like that, or they would want to give us legal tender. But if we were to leave this country, by no means could we take anything other than a universally accepted tangible asset like gold or silver. We couldn't take paper money from these people.
Right. And even prophetically, it talks about when we return, we're returning with those things, the silver and the gold with them. And so, and even in the book of James, it talks about the wages of the laborers and how their gold is rusted and cankered, and how they got it stored up for the time of the just. The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. And so when you talk about true wealth or anything of value, that's what you're talking about. The vengeance that he's taken on the nations is for how they afflicted us and for his temple. You'll hear the Most High in Jeremiah mention the vengeance of his temple, his silver and his gold and his precious things. Look in their museum, you see a lot of African nations saying, give them their stuff back, give them their artifacts back. All the jewels that the Queen of Britain, who just passed, all of her jewels and everything that was taken by theft. Nations calling for this stuff back. Wealth with, innumerable amount of wealth.
Even if you saw the carrying away from Jerusalem by the Romans, they carried all the precious things out of the temple of the Most High. And if you've ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark with Harrison Ford, like at the end of that movie, you see it was a warehouse or a storage place that went beyond the eye can see, with all their conquests, all their their thieveries, all in this one place. And it speaks to it in the scriptures about the goodly things that they took out of the Most High's temple. These people are still in possession of these things. These things, they didn't smelt these things down. They're still running around, whether it be at the bottom of the Vatican or whether it be somewhere in Fort Knox or any other place that they might have buried in the mountains, where they have the most precious things that was taken throughout antiquity, just inside some storage vault somewhere that we will be taking with us.
Man, you want to hear something weird? I believe that a lot of those Jews who or the descendants of the Jews who controlled the slave trade, I believe they have evidence of the slave ship. You know how you can take certain things and have furniture made out of it? I believe they got furniture made out of fragments from the slave ships.
I agree with you. They definitely immortalized these things, so that's not far-fetched. That's something more probable that they've done, that they've taken pieces of these things like the good ship Jesus and the Santa Maria and all those things. They probably got good artifacts, good keepsakes from those vessels.
Yeah. I saw another video where they had a chair that was they said it was made back in the early 1900s or the late 1800s, and it was stuffed with cotton, but it was also stuffed with the hair of Negroes. You know, so you had cotton in there, and you had Negro hair stuffed inside of this chair, and that was just one of them. So you can imagine, you know, how rampant and frequently this was happening, shearing our people like sheep, cutting their hair off and using the hair. But I'm gonna get ready to close this down. You brothers got any closing statements? We can just pass it around, starting with you can go ahead and start it out, Brother Lasha.
No, just peace and blessings to all the brothers and sisters. It was a great session. I think that I do believe that we should, I guess we'll talk about it, you know, go into who some of these nations are today to answer some of the questions of the brothers and sisters, like who Japheth is and who Moab and Ammon is, and really take like a historical perspective on it, you know, using some of the records that we have. And like I said, Josephus, you know, no matter what you may feel about him, did detail or chronicle some of these nations. So I think that even looking at it at a prophetic angle of how prophecy is playing out and what is happening where, it'd be good to go into and answer some of those questions regarding what nations is who as it stands today. But outside of that, man, it's been great, and peace and blessings to everybody. Anyway.
Brother Yash, Brother Bunya, y'all got any closing statements?
Yeah, I'll just say, you know, as always, walk in faith, walk in grace, and walk in obedience, Israel. It's been a pleasure. Always a pleasure to be on the panel and to share and to be edified by the brothers. All praise and honor and glory to the Most High and to His Son whom He sent to be the propitiation for our sins.
Brother Najee, Brother Yash.
Yeah, so as always, great being on with you guys. Thank you for allowing me to join you. To everybody in the chat, peace and blessings. Hope you have a great work week coming up. Hope the Father is merciful to you and your families in these upcoming days. Just want to, just want to say that what's really going through my head right now. I guess I just kind of want to close with something that I heard Brother Eric say a little bit earlier about how sad it is to see our people going against each other. You know, we have to kind of not only prove our demise or prove that we've been, beaten down and trodden down by the people who did it, by the people who oppressed us, but sometimes we have to sit in front of the face of our own people and prove it. And that's just so sad to me. It's sad to see. So that's what was actually going through my head. So I just wanted to say that in closing. Hopefully we could get to a day where we don't have to see that. We don't have to worry about that. We can see our brothers and sisters face to face and know that we are brothers and sisters, know the reasons why we've been in the predicament that we've been in, because our ancestors sinned, and we take hold of not only the curses, but we take hold of the blessings, and our Heavenly Father, blesses us and sends us home. So with that, I'm going to close. Thank you, brothers.
Absolutely, bro. Appreciate that, Brother Yash. I think Brother Yash might be out of there. They might be putting it on him. But Kingdom Conversations, Wednesday night, hosted by Brother Cleo. See you brothers and sisters there. Also, Brother Kadar's YouTube channel. Go over and like and subscribe to that channel. like, sub, and hit the notification bell to the Salt of the Earth channel as well as the Beginners channel. And also, if you can, go over and check out the website, trueebry.com. Get yourself something nice. And as far as Wake Up Jacob, I still have it for Friday, 7:30. You know, sometimes I don't do it then, just depending on how my day goes, but it's still set for that time. And if not, then we usually come on Sundays around 7:30 p.m. But in any case, I want to thank you, brothers and sisters, for your time. I want to thank all my brothers for fellowshipping with us tonight on the panel. Brother Bunya, Brother Najee, Brother Lasha, Brother Yash, Brother Kadar. Shout out to the brother Cleo. He's probably peeking in and checking us out, but shalom to him. I want to say shalom to all my brothers who are doing work via YouTube and just in life every day, fellowshipping and trying to reach people when possible. Shalom and blessings to all of you. This has been a Salt of the Earth Productions. I want to thank you once again for your time. All praises to our Heavenly Father, to his Son, and to his Ruach, his Holy Spirit. Hallelujah. Shalom.
Everywhere I go, the children rising. Everywhere I go, the children rising. I saw them just rise up. The wicked running. I saw them just rise up.
Thank you.